wages, it's looked at it in terms of health benefits, and it's looked at it in terms of retirement. So when I went back and I looked at the cost of the wage adjustment, which is about $52 million, and I looked at what was put in for retirement and what was put in for health insurance, that number became $73 million. So it hit me that going forward, we can't afford $73 million or $52 million each year going forward. So I put out on the table a program that was intended to address three things. One was the compensation piece. And I said, well, if base salaries are $52 million each year, we can't afford that. What we need to do is to split up our market rate adjustment, or our COLA, and split it off from our performance piece or our step increase, and do it every other year. So instead of $52 million, it's $22 million. Now, while employees have said to me, are you guaranteeing that? I said, no, but there's a much better chance of me finding $22 million than it is $52 million. So that's one aspect of the compensation piece. The second piece of the compensation piece is that by the end of 2015, over 3,000 or 25% of the county's workforce will be eligible to retire. That's huge. And while some managers are pulling the rest of their hair out, I'm trying to tell employees that's opportunity for you. It's opportunity for you to move up and advance through the organization. So what we're going to do is to go back and look at our performance and our individual employee development plans. We had an evaluation system that was a pay-for-performance system. And when that pay-for-performance system was started in 2000, it was you could earn a raise of anywhere from 0 to 7.5%. Well, that sounded good back then. And a lot of us were shaking our head, how are we ever going to afford that going forward? And basically what happened over the years was that 7.5% kept getting reduced back and back and back, to where the differential that you were able to give an employee was so minuscule. The evaluation forms had ballooned to 9 to 10, 11, 12 pages. We were having arguments over, did you check this box versus that box? And then employees could appeal that. And I'm going, this is crazy, we're wasting our time. We need to simplify. So the direction I gave staff was, come back, no more than 2 pages, no more than 7 categories. You either meet, you exceed, or you need work. So now we've done that, and they're working on that. We've been working with employee groups on that. The second part of that, though, is a 2-page employee development plan, to where if you, as an employee, want to move up in your organization, if you want a different position in the county, we want to make sure that you get the skills and training that you need to be able to compete for those positions as they become vacant. And we're going to look from within if we have really qualified people. We'll always hire the best person, but we want to make sure that we're developing staff capacity and giving employees opportunities to grow. And the reason I think that's important too is that you just can't show employees you love them with how much you pay them. You can't afford to pay them for how much you love them, otherwise everybody would be millionaires. Okay? So you've got to love them in other ways. And this is one of the ways that we can show we care about them, and we're going to invest in them and give them the first shot at the job if in fact they're qualified and we feel like they're the best person. So that's the proposal that's out there. The components of succession planning and performance have been well received. It's the compensation stuff where a lot of employees are still struggling with that, because I think I've had police officers come in and say, when I was hired, this is what I expected to make at the end of my 25-year career. And I'm saying, things have changed. You can't expect that anymore. And I said, you might want that, but if you go back and you look, you've got no pay adjustment in FY10. You've got no pay adjustment in FY11. You've got a partial pay adjustment in FY12. You've got a full pay adjustment in 13. You're getting nothing in 14. And my argument has been, something from nothing is still nothing. But that has still not resonated with them yet, that we need to adjust the way we compensate folks. And that's the struggle that we're having right now.
On pensions, there are stories about other jurisdictions having huge unfunded pension obligations. Fairfax funding as it needs to, or is there some black hole that?
No, thank goodness, we have been very fortunate in that the board, we do an actuarial study each year, and the board has funded what that actuarial rate has said we need to fund. The state of Virginia has been just the opposite. You know, if the actuarial rate, they came back and said you need to put in 9%, they put in 2%, so they've accumulated this huge funding liability. The state of Virginia, just to give you a little more history, because we were talking about schools, school employees never paid for a portion of their retirement up until 2 years ago. You know, now they're paying 5%, and the way the state did that was, we have to give you an increase in pay so you can turn around and put it over here in the retirement pot, so you're a net, you know, no adjustment. But the county's been very good at that. All of our retirement systems are right around 80% or a little bit more funded. They're getting better each day. In fact, our employees system was just named the top performer in the nation based on their investment criteria and what they do. So investments are very important. So with the stock market continuing to creep up and setting a record today, that's good for the employee funds, because the more that they're able to earn on return is the less the general fund has to put in terms of meeting that actuarial.
Is there an overhang with that 3,000 people eligible? And might a wave of retirements hit before you're at 100% funded?
Well, we don't, the industry standard is anywhere between 70 and 80%. We used to be at 100%, and we went to something called the corridor approach. And the reason for that was to try to smooth out the amount of money that we had to put into those funds each year. We were also getting a lot of requests with us being funded at 100%, especially from our public safety agencies, to increase benefits. So that was another reason we went to the corridor approach. So I feel comfortable that, you know, next 5 years we're in real good shape with the retirement funds, and I don't see any looming liabilities that would impact us.
Are you, among other issues, looking forward, going to be looking at whether the county should shift from what I gather is a defined benefit to a defined contribution?
This is
Going, you know,
Yeah.
for future employees or something?
This past year, the board had a study done on we have a defined benefit plan, which means you work X number of years, times your high 3 salaries, you get X in benefit. Defined contribution plan is, you know, we give you the money you invested. In essence, the risk is transferred to you as the individual. The board went back and looked at that last year, and they decided to stay with the defined benefit plan, but they tweaked it a bit. They tweaked it to where they increased the age to where you couldn't retire before 55, and instead of a rule of 80, which was years of service and age, they changed it to 85 for all the new hires. I think that was perfectly appropriate. People are living longer.
Yeah.
They did not change the public safety systems, though. Public safety folks can retire after 25 years of service. I think there probably should have been a little bit more discussion. You know, we're all living longer. There probably should have been a little bit more discussion on that. But then there was some debate, too, about, you know, should we have a defined contribution plan? And this is my own opinion on that. I feel like we ought to have both. I feel like some people come to the county and they know they're not going to stay. You know, I see different numbers where people say, you know, you'll change jobs 11 times. Not everybody's going to come and stay with the county for 30 years. There is no magic to a defined contribution plan or a defined benefit plan. It's how you structure it. So a defined contribution plan could cost you more than a defined benefit plan. So you have to be careful. One's not automatically better than the other. It's how you fund it. Because I've seen defined contribution plans where people will match up to 15% of your salary, and it costs them a lot more than what the defined benefit would have been. So I think there's maybe a purpose for both, but when you structure them, that's the key on how you control the cost.
Could I just say, we need to be wrapping this up because we do need to talk about our budget resolution. So there may be 1 or 2 more salient questions that you just can't wait to ask before we let him go home.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
No, sir, not at all. It's just, this has been a very